Happy holidays and welcome to Sports Vision 13th Annual High School Football TV show. I'm Loretta Rose with CTV Being Cable Television Network, and it's always a great honor to share with you about the founders behind Sports Vision. If you have been following Sports Vision platforms, then you know who the hometown sports guys are. They are the incomparable Dale Williams and DJ Jones. They are hometown guys out of Columbus, Georgia, and proud natives of Columbus. As you know, they had dreams as little boys growing up in Columbus, went off, had great successful careers, and back in paving the way. That is what they do locally and globally as well. Sport Vision extends great motivations to student athletes, whether it's through their television show or their radio show, and you can always catch them weekly. And what's so awesome about it is that the students all appreciate it. It is so beautiful to see young students having the light shined on them and then recognized for their achievement. And that's what they get with Sports Vision. Ladies and gentlemen, it is always a delight to introduce to you our hometown sports guys, the founders of Sports Vision, and I like to call them Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dale Williams and DJ Jones.
Every year this time of year, DJ and I always have our high school football award luncheon. And this year, with the pandemic going on, we're just going to do it virtually. And one of the biggest things that we've always done, we contact 26 high schools, the coaches, the principals, and the players. And we ask them, who are your top offensive players and who are your top defensive players? And every year, they give us the best that they have to offer. And for years, we've always had some of the top players in the East Alabama and West Central Georgia area. And really some of the players, I had to write these down because I didn't want to forget anybody. And some of the top players that we always had in this area have been Corey Crawford, Isaiah Crowell, Jarvis Jones, Gabe Wright, Quan Bray, Jordan Jenkins, Rashad Evans, Esane Bassey, Taquan Marshall, and Justin Ross of Central High School. We always have some great players around here, but this year, even in the midst of a pandemic, the high school coaches, principals, they did a great job. All 26 schools had complete football programs. Everybody had a full football season. And I think that's really one of the biggest things that happened, even in the midst of this pandemic. We were able to have some great football. And what we continue to do here at Sports Visions, we're going to continue to honor these young men. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do, we can always honor these guys because somebody honored us.
Thank you, Loretta. I know that this is a special time, and of course, with the crisis of COVID and the coronavirus, everybody has had to make adjustments. However, these kids were not going to be denied as far as Dale and I were concerned. And obviously, the occasion. People often ask us, why or can we do this and how do we do this? Obviously, we do this because obviously somebody did it for us, as Dale said earlier. However, we also have to have some people out there who support us, that believe in what we believe in, and as far as the dream for these kids. And to honor these young kids and coaches, these student athletes and coaches rather, is one of the things that obviously really set us on fire when we were growing up in the 70s and playing high school football here. There was a lot of other organizations that were doing some wonderful things to honor us, to pat us on the back, to let us know that we were doing a great job. And I'm talking about from the Kiwanis Club to the Losers and Liars organization, WOKS. Coca-Cola gave a Golden Helmet Award, and again, there were a plethora of other organizations that honored the players and the coaches of the week. So Dale and I, when we started this business in 2004, 16 years ago, again, we realized that a lot of this had, a lot of things, a lot of the organizations, a lot of the people had dried up, gone away, stopped doing it, and we knew how instrumental that being recognized, getting accolades, getting a pat on the back, how much that meant to us and encouraging us to continue to be the best that we could be. And again, after we started Sports Visions a few years in, we wanted to, we made a pledge to each other that we wanted to get back together with our sponsors, the people that were supporting the Sports Visions television show, that we wanted to at least propose to them that we wanted to do the same thing. And that's how we are. And 13 years later, man, we started in the Hilton Garden Inn, in a 150, 175 seater there. And again, we started with some of the biggest, brightest names in college football, some of the best players in the region. Kevin Butler, the all-time winningest kicker in college football history. He was our first speaker again, and from there we had Jeremiah Castile, of course, the Alabama All-American. Steve Wallace, the great Auburn player. David Green, who was one of the winningest quarterbacks in University of Georgia history, and on and on and on. And 13 years later, we ended up, getting the attention of some of the greatest coaches in America. Nick Saban has spoken twice at our event. Dabo Swinney has been here, as well as Kirby Smart. Gus Malzahn has been here. Again, it was just God sent. God had his hands on it, and obviously what they say, favor is not fair. But again, to our sponsors, if we wouldn't have been possible without them, many of them have been with us 13 years, even in the midst of the pandemic and even in the midst of job losses and cutbacks and not making quotas, people still were able to do what they did. And again, we're very, very appreciative of that.
The Mercedes-Benz of Columbus Heart Raffle is back. Purchase your ticket today for your chance at not one but two Mercedes-Benz that will be given away January 23rd. Tickets are only $150 and net proceeds benefit the Greater Columbus American Heart Association. Two winners will choose the Mercedes-Benz of their dreams, valued at up to $50,000. So purchase your ticket today online at mercedes-benzofcolumbus.com or just give them a call at 706-256-6100. The raffle will be live streamed this year, so don't miss out on your chance to win.
Honey, how will we ever tell everyone about the great new brands we have in?
Do you mean the No Love, or the Four Pockets Full, the Rich Forever, or the In? All of those brands will be here and more.
We have a large selection of LRG and Aku,
Black Pyramid, the Latif Gray, the Hustle Gang, and as always, we carry a large selection of New Era caps.
So come see us at the Clothes Connection located at 3360 Buena Vista Road or call 706-984-8575.
It started with a few smaller bills. $50 here,
$80.
$100.
I had good health insurance.
Why isn't this covered?
Well, then they started getting bigger. $800.
$1,800.
I saved for this.
But not that much.
I'm glad I had Aflac.
They gave me money when I needed it most.
That's why Aflac is here, to help with the expenses health insurance doesn't cover.
I love that Aflac duck.
Aflac! Get to know us at aflac.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Visions Award. This is the part of the program that I really get excited about because we get an opportunity to have one of the speakers that come before the student athletes as well as the coaches and even our corporate sponsors and viewers to inspire, motivate, and again, this is something that we've been blessed with for some of the biggest names in sports. We've had Saban, we've had Dabo, we've had Kirby, and we've even had Gus Malzahn. But more importantly, we've had guys like Kevin Butler, hometown heroes like Jeremiah Castile, and of course, Blitzen Buckner, and most recently, Mayor Woodrow Lowe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you a very, very good friend to Sports Visions, and I'm so proud of him. And again, he's a hometown hero. He played his high school football here locally, and he went on to Davidson College and was a 3-year starter there. But what he did after his football career is what's most important to me. 15 years in the banking industry as an executive, and most recently, 14 years and still serving as an executive with Chick-fil-A. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Andre Kennebrew.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, DJ, for having me today. It's incredible what you guys have done over the last 13 years. 13 years of successfully leading the Sports Vision High School Football Awards luncheon. We think back to those days 40 plus years ago when we did that in Columbus very often. There was an award called the Golden Helmet, and that was the biggest deal going back there if you won a golden helmet. And Daryl, I believe, DJ, if I'm not sure, remember correctly, you won 2 of those helmets, which was a rare accomplishment. I do have one myself, and so I'm part of this Columbus football history here. Particularly at Carver Tigers, and I am so glad to be with you to share just a little bit about myself and just hopefully inspire you. I'm a 1978 graduate of Carver High School. Coach Wallace Davis was my coach as a junior. Wallace challenged me in so many ways as a football player. And I'm going to share 3 stories that I hope will inspire you today and tell you how high school football can be a foundation to life. Sometimes when we're out there, we think about life, we think about it in high school, college, and then a little bit after that time periods. But you really have to think about life and for its longevity, because there's lessons you can learn right now in high school, and there's things you've accomplished right now that will carry you through college, through football, and through work. So let me tell you 3 stories and 3 lessons real quick. I remember Coach Wallace Davis always had this thing, and DJ and I would be practicing that quarterback, and he would make us run plays, and he'd say, run it again, and we run the same play, and then we run the same play again, and then we run the same play again. We run that same play over and over and over. And one of the things that Coach told us as a quarterback is you must protect the football. And one day in practice when we were running plays, I dropped the ball on the ground, and I looked at it. And all of a sudden, Coach Davis came up and said, that's the football. You got to protect it. You got to protect it. And at that moment, in that dusty field, dusty sand, we didn't have grass down at Carver High School back then. It was all sand. Coach Davis began to throw that ball. He threw it 5 feet. He said, fall on it. And I ran and I fell on it. And then he threw it over this way. And I ran and I fell on it. And then they threw it over here. And then if you know anything about Coach Davis had an arm. He could throw the ball a long way. He took it and he went back and he threw it about 50, 60 yards. And he said, go fall on it. And I ran 50, 60 yards, fell on the ball, and ran back and brought the ball back. And he did it again. And then finally, when I was so winded, he said, run the play. Let me tell you what I learned from that lesson, first of all. Of course I learned to protect the ball, but I learned the importance of doing everything with perfection over and over and over again. And this whole idea of muscle memory, this whole idea of creating an excellence gene was first installed in me by Coach Davis. And so as I go through my further story, I'm going to share with you, after I share with you the other 2 lessons, how it had impacted my life. So let me give you another story. Another story that occurred during that same period of time was when I was a senior. My senior year of high school, what happened in the very first game of the season was I broke my hand. And I was told that I would not play that much that year, maybe 8th, 9th game I might come back. But I was scheduled to miss about 8 games. Coach Davis, when he saw the cast on my arm, he came to me and he said, what in the world is going on? And he sent me out to the Houston clinic, and they cut the cast off and they put a small cast on. And about 2 games later, I was back up playing, and I played defensive back the rest of the year in some quarterback. But what I learned from there is we can expect great things to happen in our life, but sometimes things don't work out just quite the way we wanted to. I thought I was going to be a quarterback my senior year, and I ended up playing a lot of defensive back. But guess what happened? I ended up getting recruited as a defensive back to Davidson College. So that very adversity that could have knocked me out for the season ended up turning into a blessing. And I went to Davidson College, where I played 3 years, started 3 years at defensive back for Davidson College. My third lesson that I want to share with you is another lesson that Coach Davis taught me. The first time he saw me, he said, "What do you have on?" And I was unneat. I had a hat on. I had these shorts on that were cut off and the strings were hanging out from my pants. My shirt was untucked. And Coach Davis said to me, he said, "You're the quarterback? You've got to be kidding me." He said, "If you dress well, you'll play well." And that was when he taught me the importance of always looking your best and always doing your best. So how have these 3 lessons panned out for me? This idea of playing your best, looking your best, getting through adversity, doing things with excellence. Well, here's how it played out. When I got to Davidson College, and I had to do some things that were very difficult I was able to get through adversity, number one. Number two, I was able to figure out how to create a schedule that kept me organized so that I could do something with excellence. And number three, there was lots of adversity, including right before my senior year of college, my mom passed away. And it was the toughest time of my life. Another piece of adversity. And that three things can keep repeating themselves over and over and over and over. And so when I had my first job, the same thing had to happen. There was an expectation of being able to have muscle memory and to do things with excellence. There was adversity where I had to work long hours. There were times when I had to look and present myself a certain way. And then I went into banking for 15 years where I was a bank officer. The same thing happened again. This whole idea of excellence and doing things the right way and presenting yourself the right way and communicating the same way. And this whole thing about adversity, there was lots of adversity in the job. And there was always this thing about the way you had to look and dress. I can remember as a banker looking at the bank president and saying, I wanted to be the bank president. And so I even started dressing like him. I bought suits like him. I had handkerchiefs in my pocket. I kept my shoes shined because I understood I had to look the part if that's what I wanted to be. I currently serve with Chick-fil-A, 14-year career, and what I do now are all the things that I look for in great talent. These folks that have excellence genes. I can look back from when they were in high school, from when they were in college, until when they had their first job or second job, and I see these three things playing out. This whole idea of doing things with excellence. This whole idea of getting through adversity and delaying gratification. This whole idea of being able to take what they do and wrap it up in a ball and make it come out with a whole lot of excellence. Foundationally, all these things I learned on a football field in high school. As you look back at your football career and it's finishing your last couple of years of high school, some of you are seniors and some of you may be juniors, take those lessons. Don't let them be lost on you. Not only live them, but also teach them. Wallace Davis taught me lots of lessons. Since the time he's taught me those lessons, everywhere I go, I'm telling the Wallace Davis stories. I'm telling about the high school coach who helped me formulate these things that are a part of my DNA that have helped me be successful. So 14 years at Chick-fil-A, selecting 500-600 talented people to come work for our organizations, 300 or 400 of them to own Chick-fil-A franchise restaurants, all using these very principles that I just showed you. Your football career may be very short, but your life will be very long. Go out, play college football, play at your best, play NFL, play at your best, but the best game, your best ought to be saved for the game of life. Well, what's next for me? As I turned 60, I said, I want to make more impact on the world. So as I retire from Chick-fil-A, I'm going on to serve in a nonprofit ministry called Life Shape as a director of relationships. And what I'm trying to do with the lessons that I've learned is impact people all over the world. Kenya, Thailand, London, Brazil. Yes, I'm from Columbus, Georgia. And this guy from Columbus, Georgia is impacting people in other countries, in other parts of the United States because of the lessons he learned on the football field at Carver High. And I hope that whatever school you go to here in the Bi-City, whether it be in Georgia and Alabama, that you'll take what you've learned in high school, take it past what you learned in college, because I know many of you are going on scholarships, but even taking past that and taking it in life and have an impact on a lot of people. What DJ and Dale are doing today is giving you a chance to be exposed to what they were exposed to as high school athletes, as athletes at the University of Georgia, as people who have traveled the United States and the world. So I say again, learn from what you've learned and then teach to others and help the next generation be as successful as you. Thank you, Dale and DJ, for the great work you're doing through Sports Vision to honor these men and these coaches and these young men for the great work they're doing.
Japan, they have something called Kobe beef. That's how we do it at Luke's Pub. 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 Y'all come out and see us.
Headquarter Nissan has the same used cars as our competitors for much less, and with a lifetime warranty.
Their 2018 Ford Fusion, $17,700. Ours, $16,900. That's over $750 less.
Plus a lifetime warranty.
Their 2017 Altima, $15,900. Ours, $15,400.
Plus a lifetime warranty. Compare and see for yourself. Don't pay more for less, pay less for more. A lot more. Headquarter Nissan.
Greetings, this is Reverend Thomas H. Mills Jr., pastor of Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc., located at 3574 Macon Road, Columbus, Georgia. I want to invite you to join us in our weekly worship services. On Sunday mornings, our worship service is held at 11 a.m. on Facebook at Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc.STLMI. On Tuesday evenings, our Women's Bible Study is held at 7 p.m. led by Associate Minister Terry Myers via Zoom. On Thursdays, our General Bible Study is held at 7 p.m. also via Zoom. On Fridays, a word of encouragement is given at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook at Spirit, Truth, and Liberty Ministries, Inc.STLMI. We look forward to you joining us, and until then, may the blessings of God be with you.
Welcome to Peaceful River Residential Services, where we care for your family like our family. Peaceful River is dedicated to creating an environment where we constantly exceed the expectations of our individuals. We strive to set the industry standard and be the provider of choice that meets the lifelong needs of your family. We are the caring provider whose respect for the individual's privacy and protecting their confidentiality is our top priority. We are the provider whose most valuable asset is you, our family. Call Peaceful Rivers today at 762-821-1476. Remember, at Peaceful River, we provide peace for your peace of mind.
For the best in local, regional, and national sports news, be sure to tune to the Sports Vision radio show every Monday and Thursday from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Over the past 16 years, DJ Jones and Dale Williams have celebrated and uplifted our local high school coaches and student athletes. So get a behind-the-scenes look from your hometown sports guys. DJ Jones and Dale Williams on WRCG 92.1.
Gear up for fall at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
And here's the 2020 Sports Vision High School Football Award winners and coaches. From Brookstone, Coach Blair Harrison. The Offensive Player of the Year is Sam Kilgore. The Defensive Player of the Year is Andrew Newton. And from Callaway, Coach Pete Wiggins. The Offensive Player of the Year is Demetrius Coleman, and the Defensive Player of the Year is Jalen Shepard. And from Calvary Christian, Coach Brian Osborne. His Offensive Player of the Year is Jesse Donahoe. His Defensive Player of the Year is Elijah Chestnut. And from GW Carver High School, Coach Corey Joyner. His Offensive Player of the Year is DJ Riles, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Cameron Crowell. And from Central High School, Coach Patrick Nix. His Offensive Player of the Year is Joseph McKay, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Jackson Meeks. And from Chatco, Coach Pierre Coffee, and his Offensive Player of the Year is Carlos Donovan. And on defense, it is Jacquet Wright. And from Columbus High School, Coach Phil Marino. His Offensive Player of the Year is Jonathan Powell, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Drew Kamen. From Glenwood, Coach Jason Gibson, and his Offensive Player of the Year is Kyle Robachek. His Defensive Player of the Year is B.J. Snellgrove. And from Greenville High School, Coach Tyler Wynn. His Offensive Player of the Year is Denzel Hall. His Defensive Player of the Year is Jay Potts. At Hardaway, Coach Mike Woodridge. His Offensive Player of the Year is Jordan Moultrie, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Michael Williams. And from Harris County, Coach Jamie Fox. His Offensive Player of the Year is K.D. Hutchinson. His Defensive Player of the Year is Wilbert Ramos. And from Jordan High School, Coach Joe Kegler. His Offensive Player of the Year is L. Davis, and his Defensive Player of the Year is A. Wilson. And from Kendrick High School, Coach Andre Schlappy. His Offensive Player of the Year is Tyler King. His Defensive Player of the Year is Jaquez Scott. From LaGrange, Coach Matt Napier. His Offensive Player of the Year is Kale Kibbs. His Defensive Player of the Year is Jarno Huzo. And from Lynette High School, Coach Clifford Story. His Offensive Player of the Year is Kadarius Zachary, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Kelvin Zachary. And from Marion County, Coach Billy Law. His Offensive Player of the Year is Jamel Sampson. His Defensive Player of the Year is Hunter Hemingway. And from Northside, Coach ORAPEZA. His Offensive Player of the Year is Malachi Hosley, and his Defensive Player of the Year is Javon Daniels. From Pacelli High School, Coach Dwight Jones. His Offensive Player is Elijah Jones. His Defensive Player is Hunter Walker. From Shaw High School, Coach Al Pellegrino. His Offensive Player is Derek Kelly. His Defensive Player is Marquez Sanabria. And from Troop High School, Coach Tanner Glisson. His Offensive Player is Royce White, and his Defensive Player is Jordan Adams. And congratulations to all of your players, the 2020 Sports Vision High School Players of the Year. And here are the 2020 Sports Vision Specialty Awards. The Mercedes-Benz Coach of the Year goes to Brian Osborne. He had a 62-48 career record. In his 10 years at Calvary, he has a 4-time region champions, a state playoff all 10 years, and he won his first state championship this year. And the Sports Vision Outstanding Defensive Player of the Year goes to Michael Williams. The junior from Hardaway High School is the number 5 defensive tackle in the country with 69 tackles, 19 total forces for loss, 17 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. And the Sports Vision Gridiron Award goes to Elijah Chestnut from Calvary Christian, the senior running back and linebacker. He rushed for 1,425 yards rushing and had 125 tackles. And the Peaceful River Student Athlete of the Year goes to Jonathan Powell, the junior Columbus High School quarterback. He was 87 for 171 in passing. He passed for 1,457 passing yards, 20 TDs, and he rushed for 1,480 yards. And the AFLAC Student Athlete of the Year goes to Brigger Jones. The junior from Columbus High School had a 4.6 GPA. And the Wallace Davis Special Team Award goes to Bridger Jones, the junior from Columbus High School. 3 out of 5 field goals with a 42-yarder was his longest. 32 out of 33 extra points for 41 points. And he had 33 punts with a 40-yard average. And the Sports Vision Outstanding Offensive Player goes to Teo Todd, the quarterback from Troup County, leading freshman quarterback in the whole country. He had 680 yards passing yards with 1,392 yards rushing and 11 TDs. And the Sports Vision Offensive Lineman of the Year goes to Royce White, the Troup County offensive tackle, committed to Memphis and will enroll early this year. And the Sports Vision Defensive Lineman of the Year goes to Kevin Zachary of Lynette High School. He had 94 tackles, 27 for losses, and had 6 sacks.
Today, my name is Sergeant Bill Brown for the Bill Brown Family's Legacy Award. I'm here to dedicate this plaque here to Carver Principal, Mr. Chris Lindsay, on behalf of Rob Snell for the outstanding work and outstanding performance that he has done for the school and school spirit. Great motivator. And one thing about it, he would be surely missed. Yes. And it's presented to you on behalf of the family.
Thank you. Mr. Snell was a gentleman who rarely missed a game at all, period. He was the hype man of the crowd. He made sure that everyone here at George Washington Carver High School had what they need. And be honest with you, on a daily basis almost, he would come up to the school to check on the kids, check on everything that's going on in athletics. And we appreciate everything that he did for us. I'd like to thank you for presenting this award to us, and I'll accept it on behalf of his family. Thank you. Thank you.
One other award that we'd like to, of course, present right now is the McDonald's Offensive Player of the Year. He goes to another young man who's had an outstanding season and, of course, a long lineage of his namesake, okay, Jedias Creedle, they call him, Flip. And he has been a tailback at Carver High School. He is the McDonald's Offensive Player of the Year. Congratulations, Flip. You are well deserved. Specialty awards that were added, of course, again, we're just excited that we have an opportunity to, again, recognize these young men. Here, of course, the Isaiah Crowell Outstanding Offensive Player of the Year award. This year goes to DJ Rouse, the outstanding quarterback from Carver High School, just a junior, rushed for over 1,200 yards, passed for nearly 2,500 yards, and again accumulated, or at least the leader of the offense that accumulated nearly 50 points a game. So congratulations to DJ Rouse. The Andre Kinnebrew Leadership Award goes to another young man who's an outstanding defensive back here in the state and the region. Antoine Watts, come from a long lineage of Watts football players here in the city. But congratulations to Antoine. Antoine had a phenomenal year. 7 interceptions, had about 65 tackles, just a number of big plays leading Carver deep into the playoffs. Congratulations to Antoine Watts, the Andre Kinnebrew Leadership Award.
Congratulations to Coach Larry Knox. He is our recipient of the Stay Ready Foundation Award. Of course, that's brought to you by our good friend Tim Walton. And Coach Knox, congratulations, man. One loss in all these years of coaching. He's coached the 7th grade over in Alabama. He's also coached the 9th grade for the last several years at Central. And he is the recipient of our Stay Ready Foundation Award. Congratulations once again, Coach Knox.
Welcome to Peaceful River Residential Services, where we care for your family like our family. Peaceful River is dedicated to creating an environment where we constantly exceed the expectations of our individuals. We strive to set the industry standard and be the provider of choice that meets the lifelong needs of your family. We are the caring provider whose respect for the individual's privacy and protecting their confidentiality is our top priority. We are the provider whose most valuable asset is you, our family. Call Peaceful Rivers today at 762-821-1476. Remember, at Peaceful River, we provide peace for your peace of mind.
For the best in local, regional, and national sports news, be sure to tune to the Sports Visions radio show every Monday and Thursday from 4 to 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Over the past 16 years, DJ Jones and Dale Williams have celebrated and uplifted our local high school coaches and student athletes. So get a behind-the-scenes look from your hometown sports guys. DJ Jones and Dale Williams on WRCG 92.1.
Gear up for fall at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
And welcome back to Sports Visions. I'm joined by the general manager of Mercedes-Benz of Columbus, Richard Joyner. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Hey, Dale, thanks for having me. Hey, really, we got to talk some sports, so I'm going to go right at you with this. You know, I know Mercedes-Benz is one of the biggest sponsors of the Atlanta Falcons, but is it time to get rid of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones?
You know, I got mixed emotions about that. Obviously, I'm a Falcons fan. I mean, I was going back to Steve Bartkowski, Chris Miller, Michael Vick, Chris Chandler. I'm a Matt Ryan fan too, but overall, I'm a Falcon fan. I've been pulling for the guy, but you know, man, when you watch games like, say, Buffalo and Pittsburgh Sunday night, and you see Josh Allen,
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes, you know, those guys are just at a different level. And I don't know that you have to have that elite level to win a championship, but it certainly helps. So, you know, a lot going on there. I mean, where we end up in the draft, and who knows, is there somebody that you can bring in either to be behind Matt for a year or two, or do you just say, hey, start Matt in 2021, and if he starts to falter and you start out 0-2, 0-3, bring the other guy in and see what happens. I mean, look at Tom Brady back in the day. Nobody knew he was going to take over when that happened.
So you feel free that, you know, Matt Ryan, he's we don't have to have him. He's available to go somewhere else. You can send him to the San Francisco 49ers with Shanahan.
I've heard that talk. I think there was even some sense of it cap-wise where San Francisco could handle that with Garoppolo maybe moving on from him. It'd be an interesting reunion, I know that. But, you know, Julio, I think he's got plenty left in the tank. And I think the one thing I would say about Matt and him, they've had a lot of success, but for some reason, Matt's deep ball is not and has not typically connected. If you look at most touchdowns with Julio, they're either in the red zone or they're where Julio catches a 10, 15-yard pass and then takes it to the house. Rarely do you see the 50, 60-yard over-the-top connection.
Gotcha. All right. The next big issue I want to talk to you about is, as far as the SEC is concerned, you know, the leadership role that the SEC played this year played a big part. I think really the best thing that Greg Sankey did, he said in July that the SEC was going to have a football season and they were going to play 10 conference games. You know, we had to be very careful what we asked for, because we were talking about this probably about 2 years ago, that, you know, we wanted the SEC schools to play only SEC schools. What has been your take on that since all this has happened this year?
You know, trying to weigh the health aspect versus wanting to get on the field. I think the SEC was very aggressive. It has worked out for the most part. You know, I think that they're glad they did it. And I think, frankly, some other conferences were probably wishing they had done the same thing. Because you've got some 5 and 6 win teams out there that are, you know, up against, say, some 10-win teams in the bowl championship series. There's a lot to that. But as long as you can keep the safety of the players and the fans, I think it was an aggressive move, and I think it has worked out. And as far as not having the, quote, cupcake games where you got Alabama playing, you know, Mercer, go Bears, and making that's, you know, that shouldn't happen. I mean, here's the thing. Does a national champion need to be undefeated? Probably not. Can you go, you know, 1 loss, 2 loss, and still be the best team in the country? If you played all conference every year, you find out who the best is.
Wow. I'll tell you, let me ask you this then, you know, just from the standpoint of the college football playoffs, you know, the top 4 teams right now are Alabama.
No doubt.
We lost him.
I think we lost.
You know, for Alabama has definitely been head and shoulders better than everybody, I thought, this season. They've been head and shoulder above everybody.
Yeah, I think they can compete with them. They're too fast. They've got too much stamina the second half. They absolutely just bring it for 4 quarters.
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy.
Okay.
You know, I think everybody, when they first started this season, they thought Trevor Lawrence would win the Heisman Trophy, but he caught the COVID virus. And I don't think he's only been able to play 5 games. And I think people lost interest in him being the number 1 candidate for the Heisman. I think Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, I think these 2 guys are really leading everyone for as the Heisman Trophy is concerned. And really I kind of want to just throw in Devontae Smith from Alabama, because I think he's been the most productive player in them all. So who you think gonna win the trophy?
That's a toss-up. Now, let me ask you something. Do you not even think of bringing in somebody that maybe only played lesser games, not in Trevor's case, but in Justin's case? He can't help the fact that they only scheduled that many games, but he certainly played well.
Right. Well, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see who wins. And I think really in the SEC championship game this week, we're going to find out who's the best team. I think Florida and Alabama, those are the best 2 teams right now. But I think whoever the quarterback that plays the best game, I think they'll take the lead in winning the Heisman Trophy.
You're right. I think if Trask plays a really good game and Florida found a way to win the game, I think that would go a long way to make a statement. I just don't know that they can hang with Alabama for 4 quarters.
Exactly. And then the next that we got to talk about, and we got to give them some praise, the Atlanta Braves. I think really this season with the Atlanta Braves, Freddie Freeman won the MVP after even starting off with COVID. He wins the MVP. I think Marcell Ozuna did a great job being the DH of the year. I think the Atlanta Braves have a great young staff. Some of their young guns, Ian Anderson and Max Free. The Braves have a very good baseball system. And what are your thoughts about the Atlanta Braves continuing? They were only a game away from the World Series. What's your thoughts about the Atlanta Braves?
The eternal Georgia sports fan, Falcons, Braves, Bulldogs, we always seem to be a game away. But the farm system, the return to the farm system for the Braves,
that's right,
trying to build their team from the ground up, has proven to be successful. They did not fare as well during the times when they tried to bring in free agents. Obviously, you can bring a free agent in here and there and plug somebody in, but you've got to have that core. And the pitching core, obviously you think back to the days of, Glavine, Steve Avery, Pete Smith, the original young guns. You feel like that they've got that ability to bring that up. And the chemistry of the team seems excellent. You're going to still be able to depend on Freddie for several more years.
Yeah.
I think they definitely have a championship in their sights. I'm sure they'd rather play the 162 games and be able to listen to the fans in the stands. So hopefully all that will get to return this coming year. But I'm high on the Braves.
Yeah, I'm high on the Braves too, but I really love the idea they don't play as many games. I think really 72 games is enough games. Okay. I just think there's too many games just for being played. But at the same time, the Atlanta Braves has a very good young team, and they have a great farm system. So I'm looking forward to see the Atlanta Braves to do some of the biggest things that they possibly can. I think I want to see the Tampa Bay Rays and the Atlanta Braves in the 2021 World Series.
I'll put you down for that prediction. Although I'm not sure on the you're wanting to remake baseball. You're wanting to change it up and reinvent the season.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the Sports Visions Award Show. I tell you, man, it's been just a joy to be able to do this under the conditions of the pandemic. Thank you so much again to all of our sponsors. I know that you've had a tough year as well, but those of you who were able to make it happen for us, man, we really appreciate you. And for those that weren't able to this year, there's always next year. And again, we want to thank you for watching. We hope that you'll take this opportunity to not only congratulate our young athletes and coaches, but also share this, of course, this broadcast, because they'll be showing it on CTV Beam throughout the holidays. You can also go to YouTube, Sports Visions TV show, CTV Beam, and you can also watch it as well. On behalf of my good friend Dale Williams, I'm DJ Jones. Merry Christmas and keep your eye on the ball.